bizarre weapon said to be more powerful than any other in the Nazi arsenal.
The German general had told him that this machine was apparently something so extraordinary that even the concept seemed almost impossible to conceive of. And this device apparently was bizarre looking, literally shaped like a bell, but with strange hieroglyphs around it.
The hieroglyphs are similar, General Sporenberg claims, to ancient Germanic symbols, but he doesn't know what they mean. Today, some researchers believe the symbols may have some sort of mystical meaning for Nazi commander and noted engineer Hans Kammler, who helped develop this mysterious machine.
The German Die Glock, or the Nazi bell, is a very fascinating case. It was developed by very high-level physicists. Hitler, in fact, was certain it was key to winning the war.
What we know about the story of the bell is that it involved a rapidly rotating mercury that would create a kind of gravitational bubble. And the idea is that if you charge it with a negative and a positive charge on either end and give it a very, very powerful charge, you can achieve a lift.
This was apparently not just a craft, but this is theoretical physics that even today is at the cutting edge and would potentially open the door to travel through time.
Is it possible the Nazis were attempting to break through the time-space continuum?
According to some accounts, Die Glocke, once it was powered up, effectively levitated and then had to be actually held down and sort of tethered and hinged. And it's extraordinary to think that even now, supposedly, we don't have this technology. So the idea that something like this was being developed by the Nazis back in the 40s is incredible and just makes one think. Maybe our entire perception of history is wrong. Now, clearly, for the Germans, in the dying days of the Second World War, when effectively even Hitler knew that the war was lost, the only hope, perhaps, of changing the outcome would have been time travel. And it sounds like science fiction, but who knows, one last desperate throw of the dice, a huge gamble with something that may not work, but my goodness, if it does, it changes everything.
We may never know if Die Glocke ever worked as envisioned, or if Hans Kammler achieved the Nazi dream of time travel.
Official documentation on the bell is non-existent. The problem that we have is knowing what is true and what is fantasy.
When Germany surrendered in May of 1945, no trace of Kammler or the bell was ever found. But the trail didn't go cold forever. December 9th, 1965, a large fireball streaks across the Midwestern skies, witnessed by thousands of people in 6 states. It crashes in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh.
There were eyewitnesses on the ground who went into the wooded area before they were ushered out by police, describing it as essentially acorn-shaped, maybe about 10 feet high and so forth, with odd markings that they could not decipher. It was something that had very significant national security implication. That explains the feds coming in and the military taking over the place.
We know from multiple witnesses that there was some sort of covert operation to spirit this Kecksburg craft away. A bell-shaped object with hieroglyphs around the base that's then subsequently loaded onto a truck and taken away. So one obviously speculates this must have been the military, that this craft must have ended up in the hands of the intelligence community.
To this day, a blanket of total secrecy and denial by the U.S. government surrounds the incident at Kecksburg and the unidentified object that crashed there. But if this unknown object is the same shape, size, and had similar hieroglyphs around the base as the Nazi Die Glocke, as some researchers believe, could the object that fell in Kecksburg actually be the Nazi bell? And if it is, where did it come from? Since the Nazi bell was developed as a time machine, could it be that it literally arrived via time travel from the year 1945?
Some people actually think that the Nazi bell, since it was never recovered, was perhaps found and activated. Is it possible that the Nazis activated this technology and were able to use it to time travel and escape World War II?
If Die Glocke and the Kecksburg UFO were one in the same object, then is it possible that this was a Nazi time machine that went 20 years into the future? And if so, was there someone inside it? A top Nazi general? A German scientist? Hitler himself? We simply don't know, and maybe we'll never know.
Had the Nazis discovered the world's first time travel technology? And if so, UFO researchers suggest this technology may have its origins in the crash in Germany's Black Forest. The end of World War II brought about the complete destruction of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi regime. But the science lived on. And so do the secrets. Coming up.
We talk about the spoils of war. Now, in this case, one of those key spoils of war was actually the brain power of the Nazi scientists.
I only get one chance to pick a location, so I'm gonna make the most of it. We are going